The best hit USA! こんばんは、小林克也です。今週はこの人をスタジオにゲストで迎えました。Enya です。Welcome. And congratulations on the success of your record. Did you expect it? And it's big in most of the countries in the world, right?
No.
No, it isn't?
It was totally by surprise that Orinoco Flow was going to chart so much in all the countries.
Mm-hmm.
A pleasant surprise.
Pleasant surprise,
Mm-hmm.
right. Of course, this is your second album. The first album was released from BBC as that was a soundtrack for the TV doc.
It was, yeah, for BBC Two documentary called The Celts.
Mm-hmm.
But I would call Watermark the first album because it's the first solo album.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we had a lot of freedom on the Celts album, we were still under direction from the director on what themes we would be writing to.
So you had the total control,
Freedom,
right?
yes.
Can I ask you how long it took you? I mean, not like let's talk about this Orinoco Flow. How many hours did you spend for that?
On Orinoco
Orinoco
Flow?
Flow.
Let me see. It started off months before we had finished it because it was one of those tracks where it kept being shelved. We kept having coming against sort of a brick wall with it, and we kept saying no, it doesn't work, so we kept putting it aside. And then maybe 2 months later we'd say, I'd like to listen to this again and see there's something about it that's very nice.
Mm-hmm.
So we worked in it, and then again we put it aside.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time was in the studio,
Mm-hmm.
and we felt we needed one more track for the album. And we said, okay, we'll try working. At that stage, it was just called Sail Away. So we worked in it again, and this time it worked for it.
Is this story about you true that when you were a teenager, you didn't expose yourself to all the pop music or the rock music? You have been you've been trained classically, and you didn't know what.
The popular music was there, but it didn't attract me as such to it. I certainly heard a lot of pop music because it's inevitable you hear it in on
Right.
TV, on radio. But because I was at boarding school, it was much harder to hear popular music there because we were restricted on how much radio we listened to or how much television we saw. So then I focused more so on classical music because I was studying.
What about now? I read somewhere that you try to stay away from all the music.
Consciously now we
Consciously,
do.
yeah.
Because myself, Nicky, and his wife Roma, who writes the lyrics, we like to isolate ourselves in Dublin in Nicky's studio while we're working on the album so as we can retain a lot of original ideas and not to be influenced by anybody else.
It's the influence. You don't mean it's the popular music is what, polluted or?
No, we don't want to copy anything that somebody else has done.
You mean you might do subconsciously if you?
Yeah,
listen?
I think people do that when they hear something. They can go into the studio.
It's
and
contagious,
then,
right? Yeah, that's.
They think, oh, I'll use that idea. Whereas we'd like any idea we have to come from us.
What's the next video? Evening Fall, is that?
The Evening Falls is finished.
Is that the single or?
That's the next single, yes.
Tell us about the video. We haven't seen it yet.
It's the Evening Falls is a ghost story, and it was a story related to Roma about this lady, and she lived in America, and she used to dream constantly about a house. So it was a few years later, herself and her husband were going to retire, and they were going to retire in England, so they were house hunting. And she spotted this house, but it wasn't for sale, but she was fascinated by it and she wanted to see this house. So her husband drove up to it and she knocked at the door, and the maid came along and she didn't say any word to her, she just walked away. And the lady thought, what have I done? So it was the butler, I think, who said to her, you must excuse us, he said, because every night you've been walking around this house. So as she was dreaming about this house, she was actually there. So that's what Evening Falls is about. And in the video, you see the camera going through the house as she'd been dreaming about it.
Yeah.
Enya, Evening Falls.
When the evening falls so far away,
Listening to your music, we kind of expected you were a vegetarian, or are you one?
Mm-hmm. How did you guess?
Well, the music, and it is religious, right?
No,
it
I
is not
think
religious.
No. The reason you might say it's religious is because of the use of reverb. The sound. It sounds like it might have been recorded in a church. Myself and Nikki have a great love of very long reverb on sound.
Reverb, right.
But it's
The
not
echo,
really-
right? You're talking about,
yeah.
right?